Hi guys, I am going to be talking about the double bass today. A very quick and easy introduction to the double bass. I'm really not going to get to this part of it so much as the bow hold and setting up the bow as well. So I'm going to unloosen it so you can kind of see how to do this. So right now this is an unloosened bow. It's a big deep smiley face. You can see the hairs move. You don't want to like that, obviously. So you're going to tighten the bow. It's going to be a little bit more stiff. The hairs will not be moving. You'll still have a small arch. You don't want to tighten it to where it's flat. That's no good for the bow. It can snap. So right there, that's a pretty good bow tighten thing. So this is good. Rosin for the bass bow is very different than violoncello and viola rosin. It's not like a powdery substance. A lot of beginner bassists start with Pops rosin, which is fine. It's not bad rosin at all. It gets the job done. It's relatively cheap. And as you can see, it is not powder. It almost looks like it's solid, but it's not. It's technically a liquid. And if you left it out in the sun, it would melt. So I used Pops for a long time, but lately I have been using the Nyman Hearts rosin. This is made in Sweden, and it is a couple dollars more. I got it off Amazon. It's really not that much more than Pops rosin, and it is a lot better quality. It just makes the bow stick to the strings a lot better. I noticed a really big quality difference in my sound when I switched to this rosin. So for violins and violas, you'd kind of do like one of these things where you just kind of like skirt the bow like that. Not going to do that for a bass bow. You're going to just go upwards towards the tip, from frog to tip. I already rosined this a good amount before this tutorial, so I'm not going to do it too much. You don't go from tip to frog. That is not correct. It will ruin the strings. So make sure you just go from frog to tip. That's it. So you would do it a little bit more than what I just did, but I have already rosined my bow quite enough, and I don't want to make it too much. So as you can see, there's no really residue. You're not going to get that powdery residue from like violin or viola rosin. So it's a little harder to kind of tell when it's good enough, but you know, when you get a good sticky sound, you know that it's pretty well rosined. And I'm actually going to tighten this just a teeny bit. So I like my bow probably a little tighter than a lot of bass players do, just because I really like to just dig into the strings. It's kind of more of a personal thing. I wouldn't start off bass by doing that. So let's get into the bow hold. Just checking the time. Okay. So, like violin, viola, and cello, you're going to have that thumb that you're going to put right into that little crook by the frog. I'm actually missing a piece on this bow. There's usually like a little black piece here. That it's really easy to tell where you put your thumb. But really, it's right up against the frog here. And you just have your thumb, trying to get it at a good angle, just wedged right there at an angle, like that. You're going to get a big callus on your thumb. And that's what you want, because it'll stop to hurt after a while. By the way, this is a French bow, one of the two types of bows for bass. There is a German bow, which is more of a hold like this, as opposed to what we're going to do with this. I always start beginners on French bow. I prefer French bow. A lot of people swear by the German bow, but that's something you can decide as you go along on your bass career. So we got the thumb, and you're just gonna, it's kind of like violin and viola here, you're gonna put the fingers down, and this pointer finger is gonna be kind of hooked. This is what's kind of gonna hold it, and your pinky is gonna be flat. It's not gonna be like this, like a violin or viola hold. It's gonna be flat, and this, honestly, kind of anchors the bow. The bow is shorter than a violin or viola bow, believe it or not. it's shorter, but it's heavier. And so you use this pinky like so, oops, like so, and that's really what drives the bow. Your pinky is gonna get really muscular. Um, and everything else should be just like a little angled. This you should be able to tap all your fingers, but it's not like violin and viola where you can just hold your bow willy-nilly and like tap. You're gonna have to hold the end because it is a lot heavier than a violin or viola bow. So you have it like this. I'm gonna angle this down. Oops, I should probably turn off my texts. I'm gonna angle this down so you can see the bass. So you're gonna put the bow right on the middle of the strings between the fingerboard and the bridge, aiming more towards the middle, towards the fingerboard. So not really towards the bridge unless you want to get a really loud sound, but we're not going for that right now. And as you can see, I'm trying to keep it as parallel to the ground as possible because that's how you're going to get the best sound. And you're just going to pull. Just pull. And you're going to probably get a sound when you first try it. You're going to probably get a sound like, which is normal. That's what I did the first time I played. I recommend starting on the G just because it is the thinnest and easiest string to play. Just pull. Don't press down as hard as you think you need to. Just pull. And then push forward. You're going to use your pinky to push forward. Pull. And it's just kind of like that. You're going to have to mess with it a little. You're going to get some really nasty sounding sounds out of the bass. And then just go back and forth between strings. So yeah, it gets real low down there. And the bass strings are a lot different than what you're probably used to with violin and viola. It's E, A, D, G. So it is in fourths instead of fifths, which is a little bit of a, you have to change your mind. You're thinking a little bit about that when you're playing. And we're not even going to get to this part yet. You really got to get good with the bow before you go onto the fingers. I realize I probably should have angled this down, but you get the point. See, even my bow wasn't completely parallel, so I didn't get that great of a sound. So I recommend definitely playing in front of a mirror so you can see yourself and see what your bow is doing. And that's really for the first week or so. I don't recommend doing much more than that. You can start to try to strengthen your fingers, but the bass fingering is a lot different than violin and viola fingering, and you're not going to be using your third finger at all until you get all the way up here in the thumb position. So you're not going to be using your third finger for a while on bass. So just start with that.